The Rillian people had once lived on a bright, peaceful world filled with glowing forests and crystal oceans. They were a gentle species, known for their soft blue skin and calm nature. They never built armies, never studied weapons, and never prepared for war. They believed the galaxy was kind, but the galaxy proved them wrong. The Karnak swarm, a brutal invading species made of armored beasts and metal ships, attacked the Rillian homeworld without warning. They burned cities, captured civilians, and destroyed everything the Rillians loved. In only 3 days, the peaceful world was gone. Now the survivors drifted through space in crowded refugee ships. Food was low, water was low. Hope was almost gone. Their only chance was a distant species rumored to be friendly, humans. Most Rillians didn't know much about humans. They had never visited Earth. They had only heard stories that humans were kind, emotional, and willing to help anyone who asked. But humans were also known to be small, weak, not very advanced. Still, the Rillians had no choice. With trembling voices, they sent a simple message across the stars: "Please, give us shelter." They expected a slow, old transport ship to arrive. Something small, something simple, maybe a few doctors, maybe food, maybe a temporary home. No one expected what came next. For a long time, the Rillians floated in silence. Days passed. The stars drifted by like cold lights in a dark room. Some cried quietly, some prayed, some simply stared at empty space, waiting for death. Then, without warning, space in front of them tore open. A blinding crack of white light split the darkness, shaking their ships. The refugees screamed and grabbed onto anything they could. For a moment, they thought the Karnak had returned. But what emerged was not the Karnak, it was humanity. A massive shape burst through the hyperspace tear, so huge that it blocked entire constellations behind it. Then another shape appeared, and another. And another. Within seconds, dozens of human ships filled the sky, but these were not simple rescue ships. The first ship was a command carrier, its hull glowing with blue light, covered in communication towers and tactical arrays. It was the brain of an army. The second ship was a mobile engineering megaship, large enough to land on a moon. Its cranes and tools were already unfolding like giant metal wings. The third and fourth ships were heavy bombers, their engines burning red, their weapons glowing brightly enough to melt asteroids. Behind them came tactical flagships, medical cruisers, rapid response corvettes, shield projectors, drone launchers, and then something even larger arrived, a ship so big it didn't look like a ship at all. It looked like a floating city, wrapped in armor thicker than mountains. Energy pulsed across its surface like the heartbeat of a star. The Rillians stared in shock. This cannot be humans," whispered Elder Sira, one of the leaders. "Humans are simple. Humans are peaceful. Humans are not this." The refugees expected maybe one ship, maybe two. But humanity had sent a whole formation, a full military response. Some Rillians panicked. Why did they bring bombers? Did we make them angry? Are humans planning to fight the Karnak for us? Even Elder Sira couldn't explain what she saw. Why would humans send an army when we asked only for shelter? The human ships spread into perfect formation, surrounding the refugee vessels with gentle shield bubbles, warm, steady, protective. The Rillians felt the shield stabilizing their failing life support systems. Then, a soft chime echoed across every Rillian ship. A message was coming. The screen flickered, and a human woman appeared. She wore a dark uniform with silver markings. Her eyes were serious but kind. Her voice was calm and strong. "Rillian survivors," she said, "we received your call." The refugees listened in complete silence. "You asked for shelter," the human commander continued, "but our long-range scanners detected something else." She held up a hologram, a bright red map showing the Karnak swarm moving toward the weakened refugee ships. "They are hunting you." Cries of fear filled the Rillian vessels. The human commander raised a hand. "You do not need to be afraid. Shelter is not enough. Medicine is not enough. Food is not enough." Her expression became sharp and determined. "You need protection. You need defenders. You need strength." She stepped aside, letting the camera show the full human fleet behind her. "So humanity has come, not just with aid, but with commanders, engineers, and bombers." The Rillians gasped. The human commander continued, Your enemy destroys worlds. We do not allow that. Not anymore. We are here to stop them." Behind her, hundreds of human bomber engines roared to life in unison, lighting up the darkness like burning suns. Elder Sierra felt tears on her cheeks. Humans were supposed to be weak. Humans were supposed to be harmless. But these humans were something else. They didn't come to hide the Rillians. They came to fight for them. The Rillians watched as the bombers surged forward, forming attack patterns unlike anything they had ever seen for the first time in days. For the first time since their home fell. The Rillians felt hope. Word spread through the galaxy faster than light, faster than ships, faster than fear itself. A small, peaceful species called the Rillians had begged humanity for shelter. And humanity responded by sending a full military task force, commanders, engineers, bombers, flagships, mobile colonies. No one had ever seen humans deploy force like this. In the nearby star systems, alien governments watched the holoscreens in confusion and disbelief. Each system reacted in its own way, some curious, some frightened, some secretly impressed. At the Vormec Trade Hub, a crowded meeting room buzzed with noise. Humans sent warships to help refugees? That cannot be correct. They do not involve themselves in conflicts. A crystal-bodied Vormec diplomat tilted his head, still processing the news. A species that rarely speaks suddenly sends a fleet large enough to challenge empires? Something is wrong here. At the huge viewing window, dozens of ships drifted by, but none of them looked anything like the overwhelming force humanity had revealed. A smaller alien observer muttered, "If humans do this for strangers, what will they do for themselves?" The question sent chills across the room. The Valari Senate, known across the galaxy for its strict logic, called for an emergency session. Senators gathered at a circular table glowing with blue data lights. The room felt colder than usual as the images of the human fleet played overhead. A senior senator folded her arms. Humans? They were supposed to be a minor race. Slow, emotional, technologically average. Another senator corrected her nervously, yet they answered a refugee call with an army. Screens showed human engineers already building defensive walls around the Rillian ships, their construction drones flying in precise formations. Human bombers hovered like silent predators, forming a protective net. A young senator whispered, "Why would they send so much for so little?" A scientist replied, "That is what we must learn. Humans do not spend resources without purpose. This means something," but no one could answer. What? And because of that, the Valari Republic felt something rare, unease. The Torgath were warriors, loud and proud. They crushed planets and saw most species as inferior. When news reached them, they reacted with laughter. Commander Vark, a scarred veteran, slammed his fist into his armor and laughed loudly. Humans? Those tiny softlings? They think they can stop the Karnak swarm? The war chamber, filled with the growling laughter of Torgath officers, Vark continued, "Let humans send their toys. Let them come. We will smash them like insects." But the Dominion's intelligence officer, quiet, thoughtful, interrupted, "Sir, humans sent not a small force. They sent commanders, engineers, and bombers, fully armed." Vark waved this off. "Meaningless. Humans only pretend to be brave." The officer swallowed hard. "But, sir, scans suggest these ships carry weapons we have never seen before." Vark froze for a second. Only a second. Then he laughed again. "Good. Let humans show us their best. It will make the slaughter more entertaining." The Torgath Dominion believed they understood war, but they did not understand humanity, not yet. Deep in their hive-shaped warships, the Karnak swarm received the same report. They did not react with fear. They reacted with insult. A Karnak commander, large armor dripping with chemical battle fluids, clicked his mandibles angrily. "Humans interfere with our hunt," he hissed. "They protect our food." A smaller warrior bowed its head. "Shall we adjust course to destroy the human fleet?" The commander laughed, a harsh sound like metal scraping on bone. "Why should we fear humans? They are soft. We are weak. We have eaten stronger species." He paced in front of a large star map. "The Rillians are ours. Their fear is ours. Their homeworld is ours. And no tiny mammal species will stop us." He slammed a claw onto the table. "Prepare the swarm. If humans want to die, we will give them that gift." But the Karnak did not yet realize. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was fire. Smaller civilizations, merchants, scientists, and explorers all watched the situation carefully. On the peaceful moon of Yora, children pointed at the holoscreen showing human bombers flying in tight formation. "Look, humans are helping someone." "Yes," their teacher said softly, "they are helping." But with an army, merchants muttered among themselves. Does humanity plan to claim territory? Are they sending a message, or are they truly helping? No one could agree, but all could see one thing: humanity had changed, and the galaxy did not know how to handle this new version of humans. While the galaxy watched from afar, the Rillians themselves remained terrified. They huddled inside their damaged ships, staring at the human war fleet surrounding them. Some whispered, "Humans came to fight? Why would they risk their lives for us? Do they know the Karnak are coming?" But the Rillian leader, Elder Sira, saw something deeper in humanity's actions. As she watched engineers build shield towers and protect their ships, as she saw bombers forming a silent wall, as she saw human commanders studying the Karnak fleet path with hardened expressions, she realized something important. Humans had not come for glory, not for territory, not for power. They came because someone asked for help, but humanity did not give half measures. When humanity helped, they came with everything they had, and that truth began to spread across the galaxy like a spark catching fire for the first time in years. Some species whispered, "Maybe humanity is the force that can stop the Karnak." But others feared, what if humanity becomes too strong? The galaxy was now watching humanity very closely. Nervous, confused, divided, but one thing was clear. The moment humans answered the call for shelter, the galaxy would never be the same again. The Rillian refugees floated in silent awe as the human fleet moved into perfect formation around them. Human engineers worked like a swarm of metal angels, deploying drones, scanning the damaged refugee ships and building temporary structures from nothing but light and metal. The Rillians had never seen anything like it. They had asked for shelter, but humans had come with an operation. Inside the largest human command ship, Admiral Tessa Ward stood at the center of a glowing war table. Her uniform was clean, sharp, and simple, but her presence carried the weight of 1,000 soldiers. Human officers moved quickly around her, relaying data, activating drones, and scanning for incoming threats. "Admiral," a young officer announced, "the refugees are stable, but they are frightened. They don't understand why we came with a full combat force." Tessa nodded. "Prepare a transmission. They deserve the truth." Moments later, every Rillian ship screen lit up. The refugees gathered close, some trembling, others still in shock. When Admiral Tessa Ward appeared, her calm expression instantly quieted every voice. "Rillian survivors," she began gently, "this is Admiral Tessa Ward of the United Human Fleet." Her voice was smooth and steady, like someone who had faced danger many times before. "We are not here only to give you shelter." Confused whispers spread among the refugees. Shelter was all they asked for. "Why would humans say this?" Tessa continued. "You are being hunted. Your enemy, the Karnak swarm, has crossed into our observation Z1, and humanity does not tolerate predators." The statement hit the Rillians like a shockwave. Not tolerate? Humans, the small, peaceful species they thought they knew, were speaking like warriors. On the screen behind Tessa, a hologram appeared, swirling red dots moving through space, spreading across star systems like a stain. "This," she said, "is the Karnak swarm's movement pattern. A large red arrow cut through 3 sectors. Your homeworld was not the first they destroyed," Tessa explained, "and it will not be the last." The room of Rillian leaders gasped. Elder Sira stepped forward, her voice shaking. You knew about the Karnak?" Tessa nodded. "We have tracked them for years. Quietly, carefully. They avoid human space, but they have grown reckless. When they crossed our border, when they attacked you, we realized this was no longer a distant threat." Her voice sharpened, shifting from gentle to commanding. "Humanity does not let predators roam free." Behind her, human engineers activated a shield grid around the refugee convoy. Giant hexagonal patterns shimmered in blue light, strong enough to stop meteor impacts or redirect plasma fire. The Rillians stared with wide eyes. They were being shielded, protected by technology far beyond anything they had. While Tessa spoke, human bombers positioned themselves behind asteroids, hiding like silent wolves preparing for a hunt. Massive engines hummed across space as they formed attack lines. Human commanders brought up tactical maps, calculating every possible Karnak approach route. Human engineers deployed mobile habitats, large spherical structures that expanded into temporary homes, filled with oxygen, light, and warmth. Everything the Rillians had lost was being rebuilt. In minutes. Why would humans do this? One refugee whispered. Elder Sira watched with tears in her eyes. She saw something she didn't understand, something that made humans different from every other species she had met. Humanity didn't just give shelter, humanity prepared. As Tessa continued, her tone softened again. You fled your world. You ran from destruction. You believed you were alone. She paused, letting her words sink in. But you are not alone now. Rillian children on the smaller ships leaned closer to the screens. Some touched Tessa's image, as if trying to feel her reassuring presence. Tessa continued, we came because you asked for help. But we brought more than shelter. We brought commanders, engineers, medics, and bombers, because we know the Karnak will not stop chasing you. A hologram flickered, showing how the Karnak had followed the refugees' trail for days. The Karnak want to finish their hunt, but they will not reach you. Behind her, the human fleet shifted, forming a protective wall. The engines glowed with bright white power, humming like distant thunder. You see yourselves as prey, Tessa said gently, but we do not. She pointed at the hologram of the Karnak swarm. We see your enemy for what they are. Destroyers, slavers, devourers of life. The galaxy has allowed them to grow, but we will not. Her words echoed through every ship. A young Rillian whispered, humans are not afraid. Elder Sira replied softly, no, they are preparing for war. Tessa nodded once more. Your request for shelter was heard, and we accepted it, but shelter alone cannot save you. Her voice deepened with absolute certainty. So we will fight, we will build, we will protect. Tears filled Elder Sira's eyes. You would do this? For us? A species you barely know? Tessa's expression softened. Because we know what it means to lose everything. Because once humanity begged for help too, and no one came. The Rillians froze. Some covered their mouths. Some cried quietly. Humans were helping. Not because they wanted to be heroes, but because they knew the pain of being ignored. Tessa continued, never again will we let another peaceful species fall without a fight. Behind her, human bombers activated their engines. Their red glow lit up the entire screen. Prepare yourselves, Tessa warned calmly. The Karnak are coming, and humanity is drawing a battle line. The Rillians looked out the windows of their ships and saw the human fleet, silent, powerful, unshakable. For the first time since their homeworld fell, they felt safe because humanity had answered, and humanity had come ready to fight. The space around the Rillian refugees had been calm, quiet, but tense, ever since humanity arrived with their massive fleet. Human commanders worked with sharp focus. Engineers kept building and reinforcing the protective shield ring. Bombers hid behind asteroid fields like patient hunters waiting for their prey. But everyone knew the silence would not last. The Karnak swarm was coming. They always came. The Rillians gathered at the windows of their ships, eyes full of fear. Elder Sira stood with them, her hands shaking as she watched the dark edge of space where sensors showed increasing activity. It is time, she whispered. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Tessa Ward received the same warning. Admiral, said Lieutenant Mira, long-range scans show multiple signatures entering the system. Tessa nodded calmly. Go to full alert. Activate defensive rings, prepare strike teams. Human ships shifted in flawless synchronization. The shield ring they built around the refugees hummed as its hexagonal panels locked into place. Brilliant blue lines ran across the shield's surface like veins carrying power. The Rillians had never felt this kind of protection before. It scared them almost as much as the Karnak did. Then, hyperspace tore open. A massive rip of red and black lightning cracked through space, shaking nearby asteroids and distorting gravity. From within the tier emerged the Karnak swarm, hundreds of jagged, spiked warships shaped like black insects. Their hulls were coated in acidic armor, pulsing with red biolights. They came like a storm of teeth and claws. On the Rillian ships, panic exploded. They found us. We cannot run. This is the end. Elder Sira placed her hand on the window and whispered, "May the stars guide our souls." But humans did not panic. Humans did not run. Humans did not tremble. Instead, they moved with a quiet determination that shocked even themselves. Human engineers activated the full shield ring, forming a glowing dome around the Rillians. Human bombers switched to silent mode, drifting into their strike paths. Human commanders spoke in clear, steady voices. The Karnak ships spread out, circling like hungry predators around wounded prey. Their leader, a towering figure with burning red mandibles, appeared on every frequency. The Karnak message was short and hateful. Humans, step aside or die with your cattle. The Rillians froze. No one had ever spoken to the powerful Torgath like that. Even the Valari hated angering the Karnak. They were destroyers, flesh-eaters, devourers of worlds. No one dared challenge them, except humanity. Admiral Tessa Ward accepted the transmission. Her face appeared on Karnak screens, calm, cold, unshaken. Her words carried the weight of an entire species. This is human-protected space now. You will not touch them. The Rillians gasped. They had never been protected like this. The Karnak commander tilted his head, then let out a screeching laugh that echoed across the system. "Humans, you think you can stop us? You are meat, small meat, weak meat." Tessa's expression didn't change. "We know what you are," she replied, "and we know what you have done. The Rillians are under our protection now. Leave or be removed." The laughter stopped. The Karnak commander slammed one claw against his ship's wall, then die. Hundreds of Karnak warships surged forward. Their engines screamed. Their weapons glowed with red energy. Their acid launchers opened like giant jaws preparing to spit death. The Rillians squeezed their eyes shut. "This is it. We will die here," whispered one of them. "They will break the shield. They always do." But humanity didn't flinch. Admiral Tessa lifted her hand. "Human fleet," she commanded softly. "Hold position. Do not fire." The officers stared at her in disbelief, but none disobeyed. The Karnak ship slammed into the shield dome, but the shield didn't crack. It didn't burn. It didn't shake. Instead, the Karnak weapons simply dissolved on impact, like drops of rain disappearing into a light beam. The Rillians gasped in shock. Tessa watched, expression still calm. "Good," she said softly. "The shield calibrations are perfect." But the Karnak didn't stop. Their ships continued to fire, roaring across the shield in waves. Acid missiles, plasma bursts, gravity spikes. Nothing made a mark. Inside the Karnak flagship, confusion and rage spread. "Why is the shield not breaking? Human energy levels impossible. Recalculate. Attack again." But every attack failed. Slowly, the Karnak's confidence cracked, and humans had not fired even once. Then, Admiral Tessa finally gave the order. "Commander Wren, begin Phase 1. Commander Wren, standing on the bomber deck, smiled with a predator's calm and pressed a single button. Behind the asteroid field, 50 human bombers came to life. Their engines burned red like miniature suns. Their wings unfolded. Their weapons extended with quiet, deadly purpose. The Rillians watched, breathless. "They look like birds of fire," whispered a child. Then Phase O. Began. The bombers shot forward in perfect formation, leaving long trails of glowing red energy behind them. Their weapons did not roar. They hummed with deep vibration like the heartbeat of a giant machine. They passed through a small opening in the shield ring. The Karnak fleet turned in surprise. For the first time, the hunters felt fear. The bombers unleashed their payload not at the fleet, but into space around them. Brilliant red energy webs bloomed and expanded, cutting off escape routes. Sonic waves rippled through the battlefield, disorienting Karnak pilots. Gravity mines activated, pulling Karnak ships into collision paths. The Rillians watched in awe. Humans, they are not just defending us. They are trapping the Karnak. Humanity had turned the battlefield into a cage the Karnak could not escape. Admiral Tessa's voice echoed again. Phase 2, prepare the strike, and for the first time since their world was destroyed, the Rillians felt something stronger than fear. They felt hope. The Karnak swarm had never lost a battle in their history. They destroyed worlds. They consumed entire species. They spread fear wherever they went. But on this day, as their warships crashed into the human-made battlefield trap, something new entered their minds, doubt, inside the human flagship. Admiral Tessa Ward watched the glowing tactical map with calm focus. Red dots, Karnak ships scrambled in confusion. Blue dots, human ships, held perfect formation. Status report, Tessa said. Shield rings stable. Refugees safe. Human fleet ready for phase 2, Commander Wren replied. Good, Tessa said softly. Begin the strike. Suddenly the quiet battlefield erupted. 50 human bombers shot forward like blazing comets, their engines burned red, their wings cutting clean lines through space. The moment they appeared, the trapped Karnak ships panicked, opening fire. Why? Eldly, plasma bolts, acid missiles, graviton blasts. Nothing hit. The bombers' movements were too fast, too clean, too precise, like they already knew where every Karnak weapon would fire before it happened. Inside the Karnak flagship, alarms blared, target them, predict their path, destroy the human bombers, but they couldn't. Human bombers were built for the deadliest conditions. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive shielding that bent incoming energy. Their shape-shifting armor changed texture depending on the attack. Their targeting systems scanned millions of angles in a heartbeat. To the Rillian refugees watching from afar, the scene was unbelievable. Humans, they fly like they have trained for centuries, whispered Elder Cyril. Look, they don't even break formation, a young Rillian said with awe. A human officer nodded proudly. We don't break formation. The formation breaks the enemy. While the bombers tore through Karnak lines, human engineers used gravity projectors to reshape the battlefield itself from the engineering megaship. Clusters of small devices launched into space. They unfolded like metal flowers, creating pockets of artificial gravity that pulled, twisted, or pushed anything that entered. Karnak ships flew straight into these distortions and lost control. One ship spiraled into another. A second was flipped upside down. A third was trapped, spinning helplessly as human drones swarmed in. The battlefield was no longer random chaos. It was a chessboard, and humans were the ones moving the pieces. Inside the command carrier, hundreds of officers monitored the battle with cold precision. Human AI systems calculated every movement, every weapon angle, every possible Karnak reaction. Enemy ships clustering near Grid 7, an officer said. Predictive algorithm shows a 98% chance they will attempt escape jump, another officer added. Tessa raised a hand. Block the jump channels. The moment she spoke, human signal ships unleashed a wave of quantum interference. The Karnak ships glowed as they tried to activate their jump drives. Then the glow vanished. Jump systems disabled, Commander Wren reported. A silence of fear spread through the Karnak fleet. They were trapped. No escape, no retreat, no mercy. With escape impossible, the bombers prepared their payloads. Their torpedo bays opened, revealing long, sleek devices glowing with bright crimson energy. Rillians watching the broadcast gasped. What are those? They're beautiful. No, they're terrifying. Commander Wren explained calmly. Planet Buster torpedoes. But don't worry, they are not aimed at planets today. On Tessa's mark, dozens of torpedoes launched. They didn't explode like normal weapons. They didn't send out bright flames or debris. Instead, they created silent ruptures in space, bending reality around them. Karnak ships caught in the ruptures simply folded inward and vanished, erased cleanly, without wreckage. It was the most terrifyingly efficient weapon the Rillians had ever seen. The humans? They fight like this? Whispered Elder Sarah. What kind of species have we asked for help? Beside her, a young Rillian said, the kind that saves us. Just when the Karnak thought the worst was over, humanity revealed another surprise. Drop ships, black, arrow-shaped and nearly silent, launched from the carriers, heading straight toward the larger Karnak vessels. Boarding teams? Aurelian asked in disbelief. But the Karnak are monsters, a human marine captain smiled. So are we when we need to be. The dropships attached to Karnak hulls with magnetic claws. Doors slid open. Human soldiers in armored suits stepped out, their weapons glowing with blue-white energy. Inside the Karnak ships, panic exploded. Human intruders. They breached the hull, stopped them, But humans moved like shadows, fast, coordinated, unstoppable. While bombers destroyed ships outside, infantry took down the biggest Karnak vessels from the inside. Within minutes, the Karnak swarm realized they were losing, and losing badly. Their commander screeched in rage, smashing his claws against the control panel. These humans cannot defeat us. We are the Karnak. We are devourers. But the truth was already clear. Humanity had outmatched them at every level. On the human bridge, Admiral Tessa Ward watched the data calmly. Karnak losses 92%, an officer said. No escape routes remaining, another added. Tessa's eyes narrowed. Finish it. Human ships shifted formation. The bombers launched one final synchronized barrage. Massive ruptures in space swallowed the remaining Karnak ships in bright crimson light waves. Within seconds, the entire swarm was gone. Not one ship survived. Silence fell across the system. No more explosions, no more engines, no more fear. Just a quiet calm spreading across space. On the Rillian ships, people began crying, with relief, with disbelief, with overwhelming gratitude. Elder Sira whispered the words none of them ever thought they'd say. Humanity saved us. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Tessa Ward. One final order. Broadcast this message. Her voice echoed across the system. Predators do not get second chances. The Rillians are under our protection. Humanity stands with them, now and always. And with that, humanity showed the galaxy exactly who they had become. When the last Karnak ship vanished into the red ruptures of human torpedoes, silence fell across the battlefield. The Rillian refugees stared out their windows, hearts racing, tears flowing, unable to believe what they had witnessed. The swarm, creatures who destroyed their world, who chased them across stars, who filled their dreams with nightmares, was gone, not chased away, not scared, not weakened, destroyed. Humanity had ended them in a single day. Inside the Rillian ships, joy mixed with disbelief. Children hugged their parents. Elders cried softly. Some simply sat down wherever they stood, overwhelmed and trembling. We are safe, one whispered. Humans saved us, another said, still shocked. Yet behind all the relief, a quiet question spread through the refugee fleet. What happens now? They expected humanity to leave. After all, humans had already done the impossible, saved them from extinction. Surely the human fleet had other missions, other responsibilities, other species to protect, but they were wrong. On the human flagship, Admiral Tessa Ward watched the last battle reports fade from her screen. Instead of relaxing, she spoke immediately. Begin Phase 3. Her officers saluted and moved with purpose. Down in the engineering megaship, giant doors opened. Crews activated terraforming modules, atmospheric generators, construction drones, and plasma forges. The machines buzzed to life with bright blue and gold energy. Outside, drones flew in perfect lines. They scanned star systems, evaluated planetary conditions, calculated safe zones, and searched for a new home. Within in Utes, humanity found one. A nearby moon orbiting a gas giant. Once barren and lifeless, it now glowed in holographic projections with untapped potential. Prepare the terraforming arrays, the chief engineer ordered, and humanity began building not shelters, not temporary camps, not metal containers, a new world. Elder Sira and her council were invited to the human flagship. As they entered the viewing deck, their eyes widened. Below them, thousands of drones swarmed across the moon's surface. They planted soil rich with nutrients. They deployed atmospheric towers that released oxygen. They poured oceans into dry basins. They built forests from engineered seeds that grew in hours, not years. A dead moon slowly turned green. This is impossible, Elder Sira whispered. A human engineer smiled. Impossible is only a word. We stopped using that word 2 centuries ago. Behind them, holograms displayed the future plan. Homes, schools, power grids, transportation lines, defense towers, and lakes. A full Rillian civilization restored from nothing. A new beginning, a new home. Finally, Elder Sira gathered her courage and stepped toward Admiral Tessa. Admiral, why are you doing this? You saved us. You defeated the Karnak. You owe us nothing. Her voice trembled. We asked only for shelter. Why build us a world? Tessa Ward looked at the elderly alien with eyes filled with quiet sorrow and unshaken strength. Because, she said softly, every species deserves a safe home. She paused, remembering something painful. Because once humanity begged for help too. The room fell silent. Tessa continued. No one answered our call. No one came. No one cared when we were weak, starving, and alone. We learned then that the galaxy is cold. Unless someone chooses to warm it, she glanced at the hologram of the new world being built. So we decided to be that warmth. L. Dersira wiped tears from her eyes. She had expected logic, strategy, or political gain. She never expected kindness. Tessa finished with a quiet final truth. Humanity refuses to let history repeat itself. Not for us, and not for you. Days passed, and the lifeless moon transformed rapidly. Water flowed, forests grew, shelters formed, artificial sunlight warmed the land. The Rillians were transported in small groups to witness their future home. Many touched the soil and cried, feeling life under their hands again. Children ran along newly formed lakes. Elders breathed deeply, feeling the warm air fill their lungs. Families imagined their new homes, new lives, new hope. This world, it feels like ours, one of them whispered. It is yours, a human engineer replied. We only built the start. While part of the fleet built the Rillian world, other human ships established protection zones across nearby systems. Bombers patrolled, defense satellites deployed, and human commanders prepared early warning grids. Some aliens from other worlds watched the broadcast and were stunned. Humans are not conquerors. They are builders. They do not rule. They protect. The galaxy's view of humanity changed from weak and emotional to the guardians no one expected. But Admiral Tessa Ward didn't care about praise or fear. She cared about one thing, life that deserved a chance. 3 weeks after their rescue, the Rillian leaders requested a final meeting with Admiral Tessa. They bowed deeply, a gesture of highest respect. We do not know how to thank you, Elder Sira said. You saved us. You built our home. You defeated our monsters. We will never forget this. Tessa stepped forward and gently lifted Sira from her bow. Stand tall, Elder. You are safe now, and your future is in your hands. Then the Rillian children came forward, carrying handcrafted gifts made from the first plants grown on their new world. They offered them to the humans with shy smiles. Tessa accepted them with a warm nod. For your people, Elder Sira declared, we offer eternal friendship. And if the galaxy ever forgets who you are, we will remind them humanity did not smile at praise. They smiled at hope. As the human fleet prepared to leave the new Rillian world behind, one message echoed through the galaxy. Humans did not come just to fight. They came to protect. They came to build. They came to teach. They came to save warriors, builders, commanders, protectors, and destroyers of monsters. This was humanity, and now the galaxy knew it.